Hello and welcome to the Transport Transition Summit. Welcome to everyone from wherever in the world you are joining us today. I'm Maitreyi Sitharaman. I will be your chair for this Transition Summit. The Transport Transition Summit, of course, is part of Climate Action's Transition Summit series. It brings together key stakeholders from across the world who are driving sustainable and net zero transitions, from policy and regulation to innovation, technology and investment. All of this, of course, is with the aim to build and maintain momentum to COP26, which of course is just a starting line and not the finish. Well, as you just saw, this Transition Summit over the next today and of course tomorrow is going to be part of a wider transition story, and it's going to focus on the transport sector. Why? Because it accounts for 25% of global emissions. We know transport connects us as people, cities, countries, and overall underpins society. But the aim, of course, of all of this is to figure out how to decarbonize and do it cost effectively. The Transport Transition Summit has registered over 1,300 attendees. So welcome to you all. We're very excited to have all of you who are the driving forces at the forefront of this transition as you lead private, public, and third sectors tackling those big questions in transport decarbonization. So let me tell you what we have lined up for today and tomorrow. We've divided our sessions into 4 clear-cut ones. Today we will deal with, in the morning, the personal mobility question, where the core question, of course, is what's needed to deliver an interconnected, international, decarbonized transport system that allows for inclusive economic growth. This afternoon, we will talk about rebuilding aviation and how do you get to net zero there. Tomorrow's session is going to cover commercializing zero-emission freight and decarbonizing shipping net zero by 2050, which is a big goal to achieve, which will be tomorrow afternoon's session. Of course, let's talk about who and why is organizing this. Today's summit and the transition series itself is organized by Climate Action, which has been working at the forefront and intersection of climate change, policy, innovation, and sustainable finance for the past 14 years. Their goal is to accelerate the transition to a global green economy, help achieve the aims of the Paris Agreement, align the global economy with the IPCC's 1.5-degree report, and meet sustainable goals. In terms of trying to see what you can do, please contact the Climate Action team and find out how you can get involved with this roadmap to COP26 that they are so working hard towards. Let's also talk about why they're doing this transition series. It's a collection of high-level 2-day virtual gatherings, and they've broken this up into different topics. We talked about hydrogen, This week, we're going to be talking about transport. But again, this will be followed up. This particular transition summit is going to be followed up with the Industry Transition Summit next week on the 18th and the 20th of May. And then the Energy Transition Summit on the 25th and the 27th of May. In September, Climate Action will host the Cities Transition Summit in collaboration with the World Green Building Week. So a lot of action lined up ahead of COP26. Before we get started, I do want to thank our headline partner, EVBox. Founded in 2010, the company helps businesses build a sustainable future by providing flexible and scalable electric vehicle charging solutions. Do visit the EVBox exhibition, which is virtual, during the event and connect with their team to find out more about all the amazing innovations they're working on. I'll also be chatting with EVBox's CEO in just about an hour, so don't miss that conversation. In addition to EVBox, I'd like to thank our other partners as well, our industry partners, Oliver Wyman and Renault Trucks, strategic partner TruckNet. We've done this, of course, in collaboration with Transport Decarbonisation Alliance, and I'd also like to thank all our institutional and media partners for their support as well. Some bits and bobs of housekeeping for you before we get started. This session is all being recorded and all sessions will be available on demand. You can rewatch all the content. Don't forget to give us your feedback. You can complete this survey that can be found in your session breaks. And also note that we have a live poll throughout the summit. So please don't forget to vote. So remember, visit the expo, use all the event platform features, network, connect, engage. That's what this is all about. The most important thing is asking your questions and getting involved in the conversation itself. So you can do that via the platform. Click on the live discussion button, type your questions in the box. Let us know which organization you represent and where you're coming from in terms of the country. And if you are on social media, please make sure that you use the hashtag Climate Action Live, or you can tag climate_action_. And remember, when you do ask your questions, do let me know who you're putting those questions to, and do let the moderators of our discussions know as well. So let me run you quickly through what's coming up today and what to expect this morning. We're going to explore the decarbonisation, as I mentioned, of personal mobility to kick this conversation off. And first up, we will have an address by Right Honourable Grant Shapps, the UK Secretary of Transport. Then we're going to have a welcome address from our headline partner, EVBox. That's going to be followed by a fantastic panel where we're going to bring together 4 leading figures from the international transport community. They're going to talk about how to achieve interconnected multimodal transport solutions for a global decarbonized economy. We'll round that conversation off with a fireside chat with Christoph Verenuge, who is the CEO of EVBox. I'm going to talk to him about the reality of how we scale a reliable, smart and accessible EV charging network to drive adoption from businesses and EV drivers. Then we're going to take a break, which is going to be much needed, and we'll come back and reconvene at 2 o'clock this afternoon, which is UK time, where we're going to focus on aviation's decarbonisation. So it's a packed morning and a packed afternoon coming up for you. So let's get started. It's my delight to introduce our opening address speaker, the Right Honourable Grant Shapps, Secretary of State for Transport of the United Kingdom first.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to speak to you today, and thanks to Climate Action for inviting me. If anything positive has come out of the COVID pandemic, it is that people and countries around the world have been united in fighting a common enemy. But the spread of the virus and collective efforts to defeat it have reminded us how interconnected we all are, and what binds us together is much stronger than what separates us. Yet, as vaccinations begin to take effect and we steer our way out of this crisis, an even bigger challenge awaits: climate change. Like COVID, rising temperatures are a global problem requiring global solutions, with nations working in partnerships to decarbonize their economies and transport at the very heart of the climate change debate. Not just as a major contributor to carbon emissions, but increasingly a very significant part of the solution too. Now, it's true that we've seen historic reductions in travel over the past year, And it's likely that online communication will replace the need for some journeys. But our future economic prosperity will be just as dependent on transport as it was in the past. Tourism will increase. Freight and trade will carry on growing, requiring ever more efficient methods of transport and distribution. And with an aging population, local public transport will be even more important. So rather than curtailing mobility, something which would in any case hurt the less well-off disproportionately, we need to go further and faster to make travel as clean as possible, which is what our new transport decarbonisation plan is all about. For the first time, the UK government is setting out clear steps to clean up every form of transport, identifying the technologies we need for each sector and how we'll support their development and their deployment in the years ahead. But also considering transport as a whole, so we can break down the traditional silos between the industry to share innovations as widely, as quickly as possible. Now, I'm proud of the progress we've made in this country. Let me give you some examples. We've made a commitment along with industry that by 2030, sales of new petrol and diesel cars and vans will end across the UK. And from 2035, showrooms will only stock 100% zero emission cars and vans. Around 500,000 ultra-low emission cars have now been sold in this country, accounting for 1 in 10 sales last year, up from 1 in 30 the year before. The UK already has a network of over 20,000 public charge points, and according to a recent study, more rapid charge points per 100 miles of strategic road than any other European country. And we'll soon consult on completely phasing out diesel-powered trucks and set a date for ending the sale of new diesel buses with a target for a fully zero-emission fleet. We're spending £2 billion on active travel over the next 5 years to get many more people cycling and walking, and we're electrifying large stretches of the rail network, and we'll soon set out plans to fully decarbonise the railway with the help of battery and hydrogen. The government and aviation industries are working together and investing billions of pounds to become a leader in zero-emission flights. And we recently announced that we'll include international aviation and shipping emissions in our 6th carbon budget. But whilst every sovereign nation represented at today's summit will be developing its own domestic strategy to clean up transport, it is combined action which will ultimately determine our success. This is the decade when transport must make substantial progress, weaning itself off fossil fuels. And that's why I've met with international ministers at the second Zero Emissions Vehicle Transition Council to discuss accelerating that shift to green motoring. And it's why we in the UK are preparing new international campaigns for November, when we look forward to hosting COP26 in Glasgow. So we want to agree long-lasting collaborations to drive decarbonisation on the global stage, not by simply setting ambitious carbon-cutting targets, but by maximising the opportunities for green enterprise, jobs and growth, to spread the benefits of environmentally friendly transport as widely as possible. It is this generation's duty to act now and avert climate catastrophe. And make no mistake, we need a global clean transport revolution to achieve that vision. That's our challenge, and together that will be our shared achievement. Thank you.
Thank you to the Right Honourable Grant Shapps. Of course, like he says, collaboration, breaking down silos, and really sharing ideas and innovation is going to be core to us going forward.